Good evening there, folks. How are we this fine Wednesday night? Another quiz is on your way. 60s and 70s tonight. It is for the speciality quiz. I did think about dressing up, but I've not got any 70s or 60s or 70s clues. Threw my flares out the last time I was doing my clear out for the charity shop, and also my big flowery shirts all gone anyway, so I was a wee bit disappointed when I went up there to check. But what I did come across was one of my old balaclavas. I thought I'll do now, since me Nicola said yesterday about when you go out to cover your face. I've not got any face masks, but I've got a balaclava, so I used that today when I was out walking the dog. Just put it on with my shades on as well. Nipped into the newsagents to get bread and milk. Just I thought, well, I might as just nip in and get bread and milk. And when I went up to the counter to take my wallet from inside my jacket pocket, the wee guy was ducking behind the desk saying, "Sorry, big man, just leave, just go, take the bread and milk." I don't know what was wrong. But anyway, so that was free bread and milk. I wish I was buying a carry out. I might go back in the morning. But yeah, I hope you are all well, keeping safe. It looks like we're going to be doing this for a while. And yeah, so 60s and 70s quiz is on the way tonight. Questions revolving around TV, movies, events of the 60s and 70s, a bit of music thrown in there, music questions, and we'll end off with a sports round from the 60s and 70s. So I think it's alright. I don't think it's that difficult. I think it's not too bad. I've also added in another wee part of it tonight. Now, I've been looking at ideas as to some folk have said, is there any sort of like I've been watching some folk that do these YouTube channel, the YouTube channel brought to you from Milky for Postal. No, I've been looking at a few YouTube videos, and they, are very professional. They've got things that flash up on the screen and subscribe here, pointing down and all that, and things coming up on the screen as I say, animation and all that, and I've been looking into it, but I'm lost, to be honest, absolutely lost. I've been trying to do some stuff like that for my work, and I thought this might be quite handy for doing a quiz, and I might get there eventually when the pubs eventually open, and then it'll be too late. But some folk have said it'll be good if I'm rewinding back to hear any of your questions, Gary, because we don't know where question 6 or 7 is, if there was a wee marker there. And I was looking at I could have like the question running along the bottom of the screen. I'll maybe get there one time. I've not got the time, I'm a busy man, me. So I'm just going to put this up. So then you'll know that's question 1 for that round. And then I'll change it and I'll say 2, 3, 4 and so on. Just to be certain, but I need to keep remembering to turn around. Might be a pain in the arse. But again, we'll try it out. Okay, so as I say with this quiz, you can play along just for fun. I'll give out the answers at the end. If not, you can submit your answers to me so that we can see how well you did against other people, and I'll put up the results on Facebook later on. You can submit your answers to me after each round, or wait to the end and submit them before I read out the answers. So, what's the point in cheating? You know what I mean? But come on. Right, so anyway, let's get started with this 60s and 70s round. I hope a few of you youngins out there are playing it as well, because honestly, there's plenty there. Okay, so round 1 we're going to start with TV and movies, and question 1 is Amity Island I'll start again, just sidetracked there. Amity Island is a fictional location at the heart of which 1975 movie? Amity Island is the fictional location at the heart of which 1975 movie? So that's question 1 there, which is signified by an ace. Yeah. Well, cheers, folks. Cheers. There we are. Sent to me by Erdinger themselves because they just thought, oh, you know, needed to send us for my loyal custom. Thank you, Erdinger. Means a lot. They also sent us a couple of extra bowls as well. It's very kind of them. Okie dokie. Right. Question number 2. With which TV series would you have associated the characters? Cheers, dog. Bugs down away there. With which TV series would you have associated the characters Detective Inspector Jack Reagan and Detective Sergeant George Carter? With which TV series would you have associated the characters Detective Inspector Jack Reagan and Detective Sergeant George Carter? Thirsty work there. So aye, that was a great wee surprise when it arrived for me. Much appreciated there, Diana. Good people there. You'll be able to know on my AA meeting. Who'd you play, Erdinger? Okay, question number 3. What was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 60s? What was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 60s? Somebody might be able to recommend a better way than doing it than this fucking shit. See, if I put it there, it's too close for the camera. I could just sit it there, couldn't I? Just sit it there like that. You can see it there. Yeah. Rest I gauge my bowl of beer. Move it a bit back here. Wasting far too much time. There it is. There's the 3 at the bottom there. You see it now, don't you? Right, Sharps, question 3. What was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 60s? Question number 4. The 1966 Wednesday play Cathy Come Home, broadcast on the BBC, was directed by which now well-known British film director? The 1966 Wednesday play Cathy Come Home, broadcast on the BBC, was directed by which now well-known British film director? It was a very iconic play at the time because it basically woke up a lot of people to what was really happening in the world. It's good. I think you can still access that. Don't know if it would be on like iPlayer or anything, but you could still get it somewhere. Cathy Come Home. So that was question 4. Question number 5. At the 1973 Oscars, which actor refused his Best Actor award and sent Native American actress Sachin Littlefeather to explain his refusal? At the 1973 Oscars, which actor refused his Best Actor award and sent Native American actress Sachin, S-A-C-H-E-E-N, Littlefeather, to explain his refusal? That's quite a famous thing to have done. It's quite an iconic moment, a big moment in Oscars history, shall we say. There you go. Okay, so that was question number 5. At the 1973 Oscars, which actor refused his Best Actor award and sent Native American actress Sachin Littlefeather to explain his refusal? Apologies for getting your first name wrong there. Right, question number 6. Actress Violet Carson played which role in Coronation Street? Actress Violet Carson played which role in Coronation Street? Violet Carson a rose as well? Was that not what V left behind in V for Vendetta? Remember, was it not a Violet Carson after he murdered everybody he left? It was a rose of some kind. I'm sure it was a Violet Carson. Good movie that. V for Vendetta. Kinda makes you think of the government we have the new. Good watch. You should watch it. Quite based on the graphic novel. Okay, or the con. What's it called? Anyway. Right, that was question 6. Actress Violet Carson played which role in Coronation Street? Question number 7. Question 7. What was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 70s? What was the highest grossing movie worldwide in the 70s? So what was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 70s? Question number 8. The two main stars in the TV series The Streets of San Francisco were Carol Malden, I'm saying Malden like in New Malden, Carol Malden, and which upcoming actor who became a Hollywood star? Still is. The two main stars in the TV series The Streets of San Francisco were Carl Malden, and which upcoming actor who became a Hollywood star? And still is. I love this guy. I had one of these ones before, and I broke it in the dishwasher. And that way, it's because it's quite one of the awkward ones. I put it in and it fell out and just took a big chunk out the top. And Mum, if you're ever in a pub with my ma and you spot, you go, that's a lovely beer tumbler. Later on that night, she'll be like, you're going home in a taxi or something, she'll just open her bag up and say, there you go, I took that glass for you. You said you liked it. Going to my ma's house, it's like a pub when you open up the cupboard. You got a pint tumbler there, ma? Fucking hell, man. I've got about 50 odds. Beck's, Budweiser, Tennent's, Carlin, fucking. No Erdinger though. She would get me an Erdinger if she'd seen man, but no pub sell it in tap, you know what I mean? No many anyway. Anyway, I digress. Question number 9. Who directed the epic movie Lawrence of Arabia? Who directed the epic movie Lawrence of Arabia? Don't know why I have to say it that way, but aye. Who directed the epic movie Lawrence of Arabia, not Lawrence and Arabia. His wee pal Arabia, there was wee Lawrence of Arabia. And your final question of the TV movie rounds of the 60s and 70s quiz. Question number 10. Which newsreader performed a dance routine on the Morecambe and Wise show Christmas Special in 1976? Remember the desk moved away and it was like, oh my god, woman's showing her legs. No for it being the television. I mean, lots of lassies back then, before then, the miniskirt and all that were back then, and the hot pants and all that, but for a newsreader, people didn't think they had legs actually. He was just like a boy in the water, bobbing away with legs. That was like, she's got legs, that woman. So that's the type of reaction. Not that I remember watching it live, I wasn't even fucking bothered. Right, anyway, so which newsreader performed a dance routine on the Morecambe and Wise show Christmas Special 1976? Right, okay, as I say, if you want to rewind it and find it, you can with the use of that. I'll now put that down. And if you want to submit your answers to me, you can do at the moment. And in the meantime, we'll have a wee music break and we'll go back to a bit of CCR. This is a wee bit of a favourite for amongst a lot of people. back there because I remembered, I went, oh God, that song's only about 2 minutes long. 2-minute break there, Gary. It's not like some of these modern songs are going for about, well, tell me that, I mean, listen to that fucking Led Zeppelin song or something and it goes on for about 2 hours. So aye, that was a wee bit of CCR there. Oh, I'm mucking up my whole system now. Got things everywhere, I've got my bolt opener there on there. What close to open, I can do that. Right, okay, oh, I'm all confused and confussed here. Jesus. Right, the next round is events. So this is just plain and simply things that happened in the 60s and 70s. Like I was born. Oh God, I've fucking looked it up in there. There we go, Jesus Christ, I've got everything. I'm trying to put you there. I'll stick that there. And then a wee bit of advertising there, and I'll probably note that out. Alright, anyway, let's go here. So, things that happened in the 60s and 70s. Question number 1. Who was Soviet leader during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Who was Soviet leader during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962? 1962. Who was in charge of the old USSR? Have you seen that one? It's the video, and it's like the bolt opener on the roller coaster. So when it's like going down, you need to see it. It doesn't quite work like that, Gary. Been a long week. I know it's only really started, but it's been a long week. Right, so that's question number 1. Question 2. That's what I'm well, isn't it? In 1973, in which country was Democratic leader Salvador Allende removed from power and killed in a military coup d'etat? Terrible. It was a disgrace. Called the other 9/11. Anyway, in 1973, in which country was Democratic leader Salvador Allende removed from power and killed in a military coup d'etat? Was that one empty? That was empty. I'd be drinking these too quick. I'm missing a drop of a bottle, that shouldn't be. Right, so that was question number 2. This is question number 3. In 1964, which American singer, songwriter and civil rights campaigner was shot dead in the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles? In 1964, which American singer, songwriter and civil rights campaigner was shot dead in the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles? I wonder if there was any early sort of Happy Mondays playing in that Hacienda motel. Now like the 60s version. Something like Andy Witherall or something. DJ. Right, so that was question number 3. In 1964, which American singer, songwriter and civil rights campaigner was shot dead in the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles? Question 4. In 1977, 2 Boeing 747s, one a KLM and the other a Pan Am flight, collided on the runway at an airport in which Spanish island, killing 583 people, the worst aviation disaster at the time, and I think still is. In 1977, 2 Boeing 747s, one a KLM and the other a Pan Am flight, collided on the runway at an airport on which Spanish island, killing 583 people, the worst aviation disaster ever. If I remember watching that thingy, the KLM flight decided to proceed with takeoff in thick fog, even though they hadn't been cleared to do so yet, and the Pan Am plane was just coming after the runway. And the KLM flight shot down the runway and tried to take off, and he realised, oh shit, there's a fucking plane on it, and took the top and just totally. Aye. That was your... I nearly see that in another shot. I nearly said the answer there. See that? Right. Moving on swiftly. Question number 5. Oh, I see it's nearly failed. Question number 5. Apollo 11, the first manned moon landing in 1969, so they say, had 3 crew members. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were 2 of them. Who was the third? The one that never go all the way up there, but nah, never got a chance. Never got a chance to go on the moon. It's like sometimes when I go to Gretna Green, if I'm going down to Blackpool or something on a bus and I don't get off at Gretna, you feel you're missing out on something, or I've missed out on something, you know. It's the same kind of thing, isn't it? I know how he felt. Right. Apollo 11, the first manned moon landing in 1969, had 3 crew members. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, but who was the third? Question number 6. In 1973, the Sears Tower became the tallest building in the world. In which city was it located? In 1973, the Sears Tower became the tallest tower in the world. In which city was it located? I think it was for about 3 years or something, and then the CN Tower overtook it. CN Tower's in Toronto, isn't it? Aye. So, in which city is this? Well, it's still there, the Sears Tower, so I believe. And it was once the world's tallest building in 1973. But which city is it in? That's question 6. Question number 7. Moving nicely along here. But 1973 again. In 1973, which European country abolished the monarchy, leaving King Constantine II as the last monarch of that country? In 1973, which European country abolished the monarchy, leaving King Constantine II as the last monarch of the country? I think another one of the ones that was a military coup. There, and they just went, "Oh, pal." I think for a while though, they was still the head, the monarchy. But when the military coup ended, I think all of these people in that country just went, "Nah, we're used to not having you, pal. So, nah, don't bother. Don't bother. We're now a republic." So in 1973, which European country abolished the monarchy, leaving King Constantine II as the last monarch of that country? We move on to question number 8. Whose speech in 1963 started with the opening statement, "I am happy to join you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation"? Whose speech in 1963 started with the opening statement, "I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom that in the history of our nation"? Who was it that said that in their opening line in their overall speech? Well, I was just looking at that and I'm going, there's no holding the heat as well as the other numbers. That's a bit of a disappointment. Maybe it's not cold enough. Right, question number 9. Question 9 of the events round. Which Israeli Prime Minister resigned in 1974, a year after the Yom Kippur War? Which Israeli Prime Minister resigned in 1974, a year after the Yom Kippur War? Very significant Israeli Prime Minister. Which Israeli Prime Minister resigned in 1974 after the Yom Kippur War, which was finished a year earlier? And your final question of this round, question number 10. Which controversial figure was Secretary of State under both the administrations of Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford? Which controversial figure was Secretary of State under both the administrations of Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford? I say controversial, well, it was, in my view anyway. And in a lot of other people's viewpoints, he was controversial. There you go. Right, okay. So that is us for round number 2. Round number 3 will be about music. And while you contemplate getting those answers to me, or if you wish to, we'll have a wee bit of the Buzzcocks. Have you ever fallen in love with someone you shouldn't fall in love with? Well, he did. Right, that was a bit of the Buzzcocks there. With ever fallen in love? But most of us have, haven't we? Right, okie dokie. We're moving on now to our music round. So, music of the 60s and 70s. Buckle up, here we go with question number 1. Oh, it's the ace of the pack. Fucking mental, isn't it? Question 1. Which song was the Beatles' biggest selling single of the 60s? Which song was the Beatles' biggest selling single in the UK of the 60s? Oh, so easy. I would have got this. Really would have. So that was question 1. Which song was the Beatles' biggest selling single of the 60s? Question number 2. Graham Gouldman, Eric Stewart, Kevin Godley and Lol Creme were the founding members of which British band that broke through in the 70s? Graham Gouldman, Eric Stewart, Kevin Godley and Lol Creme Sounds like a biscuit. Were the founding members of which British band that broke through in the 70s? What, a biscuit with that tea, Gary? I'll have a wee log creme, please. We'll go anything, I'll just keep a hobnob then. What band was here? Okay, so that's question number 2. Question number 3. What was Wayne Fontana's backing group called? What was Wayne Fontana's backing group called? So that was question number 3. What was Wayne Fontana's backing group called? Question number 4. With whom would you associate as being a member of the following bands? The Spencer Davis Group, Traffic, Blind Faith and Go. With whom would you associate as being a member of the following bands? The Spencer Davis Group, Traffic, Blind Faith and Go. Don't go there now. Okay, that was question number 4. Question number 5 of the music round. What was the title of Pink Floyd's album released in 1975 and followed the iconic Dark Side of the Moon, which was released in 73? What was the title of Pink Floyd's album released in 1975 and followed the iconic Dark Side of the Moon, which was released in 73? Okay, so that was question 5. What was the title of Pink Floyd's album released in 1975? Question number 6. What was the title of the Rolling Stones' first number 1 in 1965, which they wrote themselves? Well, Jagger and Richards wrote it. What was the Rolling Stones' first number 1 that they wrote themselves in 1965? The previous 2 were covers. And I know that upsets a few folk, but get out of it. Considering Oasis were pretty much a covers band. They were more like I want to sound like that band. I'm only kidding on. So that was question 6. What was the title of the Rolling Stones' first number 1 which they wrote, which Mick Jagger and Keith Richards wrote in 1965? Previous 2 were covers. Okay. Question 7. Which album was the biggest selling album in the UK in the 70s? Which album was the biggest selling album in the UK in the 1970s? And question 8. The Who, The Who, have never had a number 1 single in the UK. Never. Would you believe that? Yep. But just missed out on the top spot twice, reaching number 2 with which 2 songs? The Who have never had a number 1. Well, so far, might get one. Right, but they've never had a number 1 UK single. They've missed out on the top spot twice, with which 2 songs? Well, they got to number 2. So the Who have never had a number 1 single in the UK, but just missed out on the top spot twice, reaching number 2 with which 2 songs? Question 9. English singer Susan Janet Ballion who found fame from the late 70s, is better known by what stage name? English singer Susan Janet Ballion, who found fame in the late 70s and onwards, is better known by what stage name? And question number 10. Oh, change the thing, guys. Change it. Question 10. What event in the 1960s was staged at Max Yasgur's dairy farm and was originally billed as an aquarium exposition? What event in the 1960s was staged at Max Yasgur's dairy farm and was originally billed as an aquarium exposition? Okay folks, that's your 10 music questions. Get your thinking caps on there, and then you can get your answers to me if you wish. While you do that, let's have a wee bit of Otis Redding, unless, as we always say at this point, copyright claim kicks in and I'm in a lot of trouble. If not, enjoy.
Baby, here I am, a man on the scene. I can give you what you want, but you got to go home with me. I got some good old love, and I got some in store. When I get through throwing it on you, you got to come back for more. Boys and things will come by the dozen. That ain't nothing but drugstore loving. Pretty little thing living like to count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell now, yes around. Action speaks louder than word, and I'm a man with a great experience. I know you got you another man, but I can love you better than him. Take my hand, don't be afraid, I wanna prove every word I say. That's the kind of love for people, so won't you raise your hand with me? Boys will call my damn mouth 11, but that ain't nothing but kiss and love. Pretty little thing living like to count, cause mama, I'm sure hard to hell and I get around.
Baby! Well, Otis Redding there with Hard to Handle. Hope those questions weren't too hard to handle, folks. I've lost patience with the Erdinger glass. I'm sending it back. I've decided I'm sending it back to them and saying it's no use. It's just no pouring to my satisfaction. So I changed it. And look at that, and people become, big guy, look at that, but you don't understand. There's just something alright about that. I'll need to get a special clean or something in the dishwasher 3 or 4 times and try and not break it. It's on the heat in it. Right, we're moving on to your final round now. Let's get going. Round number 4, which is sport. Yes, sport of the 60s and 70s. So if you're ready, here is question number 1. Question 1. Who was top goal scorer at the 1966 World Cup finals? Didn't realise there was a World Cup in 1966. Football World Cup, aye. Didn't know there was. Don't hear much about it, do you? No. Oh. Must be one of the insignificant World Cups. But anyway, I want to know who was the top goal scorer at that said tournament in 1966. No. Okay. So there we go with this one. Question number 2. Which racehorse, Gary, no racing. Which racehorse won the English Triple Crown in 1970? The last horse to do so. I think I've asked this before, this one. Which racehorse won the English Triple Crown in 1970? The last horse to do so. Also Sharp, I think it was it Also Sharp in the 80s, won the English, the Phillies version. So that's the 1,000 Guineas, the Oaks and the Sir Ledger. Well, it doesn't really count, I know, I'm sorry, but if she had decided to run in the, because Phillies can run in the 2,000 Guineas and the Derby, they can, you know, they do. It's not just restricted to colts. The Guineas, the 1,000 Guineas and the Oaks are restricted just to fillies. And fillies and mares, but, fillies and mares. But not the Derby and the 2,000 Guineas. Wee bit of. Anyway, who won the 1970 Triple Crown? Question number 3. American Dick Fosbury won an Olympic gold medal in which athletic discipline at the 1968 Summer Olympic Games in Mexico City? I always seem to have a Mexico question on my quizzes, Mexico. American Dick Fosbury won an Olympic gold medal in which athletic discipline at the 1968 Summer Olympic Games in Mexico City? Probably, you should know. I'm not going to say any more. We'll see. I don't know. Please don't make me become half my dinger, maybe. This happened to me once before with vodka and Iron Brew when I was a teenager. I used to always love a vodka and Iron Brew, and then I just one day, it was one night out, I was like, I can't be bothered with that anymore, and I changed and I went back to drinking beer, and I was half Iron Brew for about a year, I swear to you. Aye, and I don't, please don't make that happen to me a year. Right, question number 4. Come on. Question 4. Throughout the 70s, which 3 nations lay claim to the European Cup as clubs from each of those nations lifted the trophy? So, throughout the 70s, throughout that whole decade, which 3 nations lay claim to the European Cup as clubs from each of those nations lifted the trophy throughout that decade? So, look for the name of 3 countries. Not the clubs, just the countries. So only 3 countries had clubs that won the European Cup in the 70s. What 3 countries were they? You explain it? I don't care. You should know. 3 countries. Right, question number 5. Remember, you can pause it to have a think. Question 5. In 1975, Muhammad Ali beat who in the fight that was coined the Thriller in Manila? In 1975, Muhammad Ali beat who in the fight that was coined the Thriller in Manila? Question number 6. Question 6. In 1972, the first UEFA Cup final was contested. Oh, there you go. And it was between which 2 English football clubs? In 1972, the first UEFA Cup final was contested between which 2 English clubs? I'll give you a point for each. And the same back in question 4, I'll give you a point for each there as well. Point each there for that as well. Is there any other ones I need to go back and do that way? You'll get the points when I'm marking them up. Or I'll tell you when I'm giving you the answers. Okay, question number 7. In 1972, again in 1972, in which city did Ken Buchanan fight Roberto Duran in defence of his world title? In 1972, in which city did Ken Buchanan fight Roberto Duran in defence of his world title? Gave a brave fight, did Ken. But I think it was a bit controversial at the end. It was a low blow just before the bell, or on the bell I think it was, and I think it was below the belt, well below the belt. But the referee said it wasn't. So that was in 1972. In which city did Ken Buchanan fight Roberto Duran in defence of his world title? Question number 8 of the sports round. A wee bit nasally there, I went. What was happening there? Oh, sorry. Question 8. Who was manager of Dunfermline Athletic when they beat Celtic in the 1961 Scottish Cup final after a replay? Who was manager of Dunfermline Athletic when they beat Celtic in the 1961 Scottish Cup final after a replay? The mighty Pars. Mount Vesuvius there. Right, question number 9. Nearly there, folks. Nearly there. Question 9. In which year did Red Rum win both the Grand National and the Scottish Grand National? In which year did Red Rum win both the Grand National and the Scottish Grand National? Now that's a feat, because considering there's sometimes only a week between those races. That is a mighty feat. Mighty, mighty feat. So that's question 9. In which year did Red Rum win both the Grand National and the Scottish Grand National? And your final question. Question number 10. Final question of the quiz, Rooney. In 1978, when Scotland beat the Netherlands 3-2 at the World Cup, Archie Gemmill scored twice. But who scored Scotland's other goal? In fact, if I remember at the time, it was... I'm not going to shut up. In 1978, when Scotland beat the Netherlands 3-2 at the World Cup, Archie Gemmill scored twice, but who got Scotland's other goal? Alright folks, that's that done. The old 60s and summers. Did some of you come dressed up and all the night? Oh, I can see some jamming still on. Fuck it, slippers on, who cares? I've got with my shorts on. Weather was phenomenal, wasn't it? Been a bit downhill now. But hey, hopefully it'll pick up again. Okay, right, as I always say at this stage, you can put your answers in to me, whether it's just for that last round or for the whole quiz, then it is time to do so. I'll give you a wee bit more time to think about that before I give you the answers to that quiz. While we wait, let's have a wee bit of Stevie Wonder, why not? And a wee bit of another star. Get your groove on. could listen to that and listen to that. I love it. It's a great wee song. Songs in the Key of Life, of course, from that great album. The song was also used for the World Cup in Brazil. I think it was, the BBC used it, didn't they, as their theme tune. Should have put that in the old theme tune round back in that old quiz. Anyway, let's get to your answers, folks. Well, way back then, remember, about 55 minutes ago, we had TV and movies, and round number 1 was TV and movies. This is how Gary, come on. Right, question 1 was, Amity Island is a fictional location at the heart of which 1975 movie? That is Jaws, of course. Question 2, with which TV series would you have associated the characters Detective Inspector Jack Reagan and Detective Sergeant George Carter? That was, of course, The Sweeney. The Sweeney. Question 3, what was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 60s? It was The Sound of Music. Oh, sorry. Question 4, the 1966 Wednesday play Cathy Come Home, broadcast on the BBC, was directed by which now well-known British film director? That is Ken Loach, the great Ken Loach. Question 5, at the 1973 Oscars, which actor refused his Best Actor award and sent Native American actress Sachin Littleferrer to explain his refusal? It was, of course, Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando. Question 6, actress Violet Carson played which role in Coronation Street? That was Ina Sharples. Question 7, what was the highest grossing movie worldwide at the cinema in the 70s? That was Star Wars. Yes, Star Wars, by a long shot. Question 8, the 2 main stars in the TV series The Streets of San Francisco were Karl Malden and, of course, the upcoming Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas was the answer. Question 9, who directed the epic movie Lawrence of Arabia? That was David Lean. And question 10, which newsreader performed a dance routine on the Morecambe and Wise show Christmas Special in 1976? That was Angela Rippon. Yeah, she was a newsreader back then. She didn't do these wee funny wee shows now in daytime TV, I think it is. Question 2, events. Serious stuff now. Question 1, who was Soviet leader during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962? It was Nikita Khrushchev. It's very serious name. No, I don't know about the first name, but it's Khrushchev. Question 2, in 1973, in which country was Democratic leader Salvador Allende removed from power and killed in a military coup? That was Chile. Chile. Yes, brought about the very pleasant General Pinochet. Remember him? That bastard. Aye, excuse my language, but he was. And amazingly protected by Margaret Thatcher. Even though the man murdered thousands and thousands of his own people. And that was a coup, surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, supported by the Americans at the time, just because Salvador Allende was a socialist. Yes, a democratic socialist people. He was nominated by his own people, but they didn't like it. Anyway, moving on. Question 3. In 1964, which American singer, songwriter and civil rights campaigner was shot dead in the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles? That was Sam Cooke. Question 4. In 1977, 2 Boeing 747s, one a KLM and the other a Pan Am flight collide on a runway in which Spanish island? That was Tenerife. Tenerife. Still think it's Tenerife North Airport that happened. That's one of the reasons why they opened up the new one in the south, because it got dead foggy up in the north. Still operational, just in case you get diverted there one day. Question 5. Apollo 11, the first manned moon landing in 1969, had 3 crew members, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Who was the third? Michael Collins. Michael Collins. Question 6. In 1973, the Sears Tower became the tallest building in the world, and it is located in Chicago. Chicago. Question 7. In 1973, which European country abolished the monarchy, leaving King Constantine II the last monarch? That was Greece. Question 8. Whose speech in 1963 started with the opening statement, "I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation"? That was Martin Luther King, of course. standing under the Lincoln Memorial, wasn't it? With the I Have a Dream speech. Should read the full speech. Very, very good. Question 9. Which Israeli Prime Minister resigned in 1974, a year after the Yom Kippur War? That was Golda Meir, who's the only female Prime Minister ever of Israel. Question 10. Which controversial figure was Secretary of State under both the administrations of President Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford? That was Henry Kissinger, who was partly involved in that coup d'etat in Chile. That's why he was controversial. And he did win the Nobel Peace Prize for helping bring about the end of the Vietnam War, but that's controversial in saying that as well. Anyway, moving on, round 3, music. Question 1. Which song was the Beatles' biggest selling single in the UK in the 60s? That was She Loves You. She does. Question 2. Graham Goldman, Eric Stewart, Kevin Godley and Lol Creme were the founding members of which British band that broke through in the 70s? That was 10cc. Question number 3. What was Wayne Fontana's backing group called? That was the Mindbenders. Question 4. With whom would you associate as being a member of the following bands? Spencer Davis Group, Traffic, Blind Faith and Go. That's Steve Winwood. Go is 5 in Japanese. Did you know? Question 5. Go. What was the title of Pink Floyd's album released in 1975? That was Wish You Were Here. I wish you were all here. Sit and have a blair, have a beer and just talk away. Question 6. What was the title of the Rolling Stones' first number 1 that was written by Jagger and Richards in 1965? That was The Last Time. Yeah. Question 6. Which album was the biggest selling album in the UK in the 70s? That was Bridge Over Troubled Water. Certainly plenty of that to do. Simon and Garfunkel, of course. Question 8. The Who have never had a UK number 1 hit single. They were close twice, getting to number 2 with the songs My Generation and I'm a Boy. I'll give you a point for each. I'll give you a point for each of that. Question 9. Which English singer Susan Janet Ballion, I think it's, or Ballion, who found fame from the late 70s, is better known by what stage name? That's Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees. Hong Kong Garden. Prefer Spellbound to that. Question 10. What 60s event was staged at Max Yasgur's dairy farm and was originally billed as an aquarium exposition? That was the Woodstock Festival. Yes. Woodstock. Round 4 was sport. Question 1. Who was the top goal scorer at the 1966 World Cup? That was Eusebio. Question 2. Which racehorse won the English Triple Crown in 1970? Nijinsky. Question 3. American Dick Fosbury won an Olympic gold medal in which athletic discipline in 1968 Olympic Games? That was the high jump. And he developed what went on to be, because he was completely different. Everybody used to go, what was it, jump out like that. Well, he came up with the Fosbury flop, which everybody uses now. So high jump. Question 4. Throughout the 70s, which 3 nations lay claim to the European Cup as clubs from each of these nations lifted the trophy? I'll give you a point for each correct one. The Netherlands, who had, of course, Feyenoord and Ajax. Then West Germany. It all went in this order, actually. West Germany, Bayern Munich, won it 3 years in a row, I think. And then England with Liverpool, and then in 79, Nottingham Forest. So Netherlands, West Germany and England. Question 5. In 1975, Muhammad Ali beat who in the fight that was coined the Thriller in Manila? That was Joe Frazier. Question 6. In 1972, the first UEFA Cup final was contested between which 2 English clubs? That was Tottenham Hotspur and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Or I put down Wolverhampton Wolves. Spurs and Wolves we're looking for there. Spurs won 3-2 in aggregate. Question 7. In 1972, in which city did Ken Buchanan fight Roberto Duran? That was in New York at Madison Square Gardens. Question 8. Who was manager of Dunfermline Athletic when they beat Celtic in the 1961 Scottish Cup final? After a replay, of course, it was the great Jock Stein. Yes, Jock Stein, that's what he ladies marker. Question 9. In which year did Red Rum win both the Scottish and, previously won the Grand National and then the Scottish Grand National? It was in 1974. 1974. And question 10. In 1978, when Scotland beat the Netherlands 3-2 at the World Cup, Archie Gemmill scored twice. Who scored Scotland's other goal? In fact, it was the equaliser. I think it was Kenny Dalglish. King Kenny. Right. Okie dokie. That is us, ladies and gentlemen. That is us. So how do you do? How do you feel you did there? Alright? 60s, 70s? You feeling alright with that, man? Well. I'll put up the results for those that submitted their answers to me later on tonight. And you can see how you did. I'll be back on Sunday at 4 o'clock with the bumper quiz. Next week's specialist quiz will be all about Scotland. Yep, we're going to do a specialist quiz on the great nation of Scotland. Just thought that today. I thought, I'll just be a wee Scotland man. So that'll be next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, folks, keep safe, keep well, wear that mask when you're going out. You've always had to wear that mask when you've went out. You can't show that face around town. I'm talking to you, you know who you are. Anyway, I'll be seeing you somewhere, someplace. Good night, folks. Take it easy.
Now I'd like to say goodbye to all my fellow friends. And if you like this shit on here, I'll see your ass again.